was and what the new location is, right? So if I look down the sheet here, and I'm going to see my shared drive name here in Google was, let's say, data archiving right here, okay? And I know that the owner of that is S. Ellington at CareMedics. And then I've got a link over here. Here's where the new location is. So if for whatever reason you can't find it navigating through the folders that are there, you can come to this mapping tool, which shows you what it used to look like and now what it's been renamed. So Program Management Operations. And if I click this link, it will attempt to open that up. And again, this is another one where I don't have permission to it. So it's going to tell me that. So if I come back here, I know I have access to ITEUS. If I click that one, that brings me to an actual folder where I can see all the folders and documents that I have access to. So as I'm in here, if I have a desktop or a laptop and I want to sync this set of folders to my desktop, I can click the sync button right here and it would sync it over. So let me just open up Windows Explorer here so you can see what that looks like. Once it syncs, you'll see a directory here called CareMedics LLC, and then underneath it would be any of those folders that you have access to. So for my particular use case here, I only have access to the EUS documents. And as you can see, when I open that up, and I open these up side by side here, they look exactly the same. Okay. So shifting gears just a little bit, when I sync these things, it doesn't mean that I'm creating a copy locally. If I have a green check mark here in the status, it means I've opened that doc on my desktop. And every time you open a doc on your desktop, it will sync automatically to your local drive, right? If there's a document that I haven't synced yet, for instance, this test text right here, you'll see it has a little cloud icon right here. That means that I've never opened it on my desktop. However, it still stores it up in the cloud. So if I wanted a copy of that, it's as simple as just opening it. I can make a few changes here. Okay, and I'll just save this and I'll close it. All right, so now you can see the status has changed to these two circular blue arrows. That indicates that it's syncing it up right now to the cloud. So if I take a look at this in a second here, just refresh it. It'll take a minute to refresh that. But in the meantime, let me come up here and I can see that my test text here, if I open it up in the browser, so it has not updated yet. It'll take a second when it syncs up here. You can also force a sync just by clicking that sync right there. And it'll prompt you, you're already syncing your files if you're already doing it, but it's a good way to kind of force a sync as well. There you go. So there's my changes. Okay. Let me just go back here. And if I come over to my File Explorer, now I see that's a green check mark as well. So that's telling me that everything is synchronized both on my local desktop and my cloud storage as well. So some of the options that you have on files, if you look across, I can easily share this file just by hovering over this here, share the selected item with other people. And if I click that link, now I come into this pop-up here and I can type a name here or a group of people. So if I want to email Sharon a copy of this, I can add her. I can add Kendall as well. Or if I know for whatever reason they're not in email, or maybe we're working in Teams right now, I can copy just a link of this as well. Okay. And I can share just this link and we'll go through this. You know, basically I can share it in email, I can share it in Teams, I can share it in SharePoint and chat. There's lots of different ways that we can share these links to these files. And the reason for this is so that when people open these files, we're not sending multiple copies around the network. It's reducing traffic, and we're allowing people to co-author these documents with us as well. So we can see changes that they've made, right? And I'll show you that right here. There's these three dots. If I keep going from the share, if I click on that, I've got some other options that pop up for me here as well. I can actually, the Word one's going to be a better one to do. So if I want to open this document, I can open it in a browser. Okay. And it will open right here in my Chromebook. And I have full editor access here because that was the permissions that I was given. Right. So I can add things here. Okay, and it's going to automatically, you'll see it's every time I type or I'm doing something, it's automatically saving those changes. Okay, so when I close this down, those will be changed. And if I click this 3 dots here again, there's some other options. I can preview it here, which is just a quick little snapshot or thumbnail of the file. I can share it here as well. So share here. I can share up here. I can share here. I can copy a link of this easily. If I just want to copy a link and send it, I can copy a link here. I can download a copy. Let's say this is a template or something, and I just want to download this and start my own version of it. I can do that. If I've given access or I'm the owner of this, I can manage who has access to this here, whether it's read access, write, editor access. I can revoke access if I need to. And then probably the most key component here is this version history here at the bottom. This tells me everything that's changed in the document and who made that change. And at any time, if somebody makes a change to a document, and you can see it's got version numbers as well, I can click on this little down arrow here and I can restore my previous version. Okay, so let me just show you this on the desktop because it works very similar. Instead of the 3 dots, I just right click on it and I get a similar type menu. Okay, I can share this here. I can view it online. Here's my version history. So if I pop this up, it's telling me it was just updated a minute ago, but I could come back here to the original version and I can restore it here as well. And again, it'll kick off a sync and synchronize everything in both directions. So no matter where you make the changes, whether it's in the cloud or if you've got a desktop copy of it, it's going to keep it in sync all the time. Okay, we showed opening a file, we showed Windows Explorer, we've shown sharing files and links, offline synchronization. We will walk through how to attach these in OneDrive. Let's show a co-authoring opportunity here. So this, basic syllabus here that we were doing, if I want to open this up, and I'm just gonna share this out here. And for the purpose of this, we're gonna share it. And actually, we'll come back to this because we're gonna jump into Teams here in a second, and then we'll show the co-authoring tools in there. So just put that aside for 1 second. We'll come back to how to share that and co-author. So what we're gonna do now is, actually, before we go on, let me just check the chat and see if there's any questions around your OneDrive cloud storage or your SharePoint. Okay, looks like just some questions about the recording. All right, I use 365. So Michelle has a question around, I use 365 in my previous job on my work laptop and my work cell phone, but this is a good refresher. We had SharePoint for our important court documents and files. Yep, good stuff. And yeah, that's good to mention too. Like everything I'm showing you will sync up and work with your mobile phones as well, or your iPads or any kind of mobile devices. So it's going to look a little bit different, obviously, because you got less screen to work with. But Outlook is available on both the iOS device, Android device, things like that. Brooks says, did you say that sync will automatically create the folder? Yes. So if you create a new folder here, okay, if I create a folder, if I click new and I say folder, and we'll just give it a name. Okay, so I'm going to create a pretty long folder, Thursday's training class.
Calling the Hematology Support Center. This is Keisha. How may I help you?
Somebody needs to go on mute. I don't know. Okay.
On mute.
Okay, thank you. So you can see I just created that Thursday's training class. And if I come over here, come back to here, and I go into my test folder, There it is, right? And you can see it's cloud only right now. I don't have any documents in it, but if I was to drop a document or copy, we'll just take this test doc here and we will copy it right into this folder. Actually, we'll move it in there. Okay. So there's my folder. It's synced. If I come here now, back to here, I'll have to, you can see it as soon as I clicked in it, it disappeared. And if I open this up, there's my document. So everything is kept in sync no matter where you make the change. You know, whether it's in the cloud, whether it's on the desktop, everything's synchronized across. Hopefully that answers your question, Brooks. Yeah, good question, Taika. You may not see the same or the same experience that we're seeing. Again, that migration is in progress right now. And I know that, I don't know if Holly's back on or Melissa, there was a statement made in some of the other training classes that, you know, please continue to use your Google for another week, your
Yes.
Google Drives, things like that, because if you try to use anything in the new software right now, it may be overwritten once we perform the last up-to-date migration over the weekend.
Yep, that's correct. We're going to do the migration starting on Friday at 8 p.m. and then it will end by Monday at 7 a.m. So what we're asking everyone to do is please stay in your Google stuff. That's fine. Try to stay out of your Microsoft stuff, because what is going to happen is as of Friday, when we start doing the migration, if you have anything in your Google that is named the same as your as your Microsoft, what's going to happen is the Google is going to overwrite whatever is in your Microsoft. So you want to be very, very careful with that. Stick to your Google. We're not doing this migration till this weekend. And then we're going to actually ask you all to take the weekend off and not do any work in the systems over the weekend, because we really want to make sure that everything gets migrated smoothly. Thanks, Robert.
Yep. Great. So I think that covers all the SharePoint questions. We're going to come back now and just show you OneDrive, but you're going to see it's very similar to SharePoint. The only difference is, so if I come up to the top here, I'm under my content. I'm going to say, go to my OneDrive. And it's going to look, the format and things like that look very similar to what SharePoint is. And again, OneDrive is really just a presentation layer on top of SharePoint. So it really is similar. It's just this is going to contain just your personal files, right? So if I look here, I've got some folders, my pictures, my documents. If I open up my Windows Explorer and I select here, so this is my SharePoint directory here, and the folders that I have access to, here's my OneDrive folders here, right? So if I click that, I can see this mimics, with the exception of some icons that might be a little different on the desktop, this really mimics what I have here in my online OneDrive share as well. Okay. All the same things that we just showed you, you know, creating new folders you can do here. You can create new folders over here. If you're familiar with Windows, you know how to do these types of things. There's several ways to do it as well. You can create a new folder here. Okay, so I created a folder called Thursday Group. We'll give it a second, but it should show up over here in a minute once it syncs. If I want to look at, you know, any of these documents here, if I want to do the same thing that I can do in SharePoint, I can open it in my browser. I can open it in my app, preview it. I can share it from here. I can manage access. Again, I can look at version history. Okay, same type of deal. If I want to restore something back, I just click on the three dots and I can restore it back. And equally, if I'm working from my Windows machine, and you'll notice the Thursday group just synced, and these little 3 lines here on the left just indicate, hey, a new group was created that you haven't seen yet, you know, once you pop in here again, so you'll know when things are new. But if I want to, let's just say, look at this PowerPoint here, I can look at version history. I don't think a lot's been done with it, but again, I've got all the same features. It's just a right click versus clicking the 3 dots, right? So OneDrive is very similar to SharePoint. Again, you can see like everything in here pretty much I've opened already. Maybe there's a few pictures that I haven't, some screenshots, but those folders are empty. So for the point of the training, it looks like almost everything has been synchronized over in my OneDrive. All right. I think that's it as far as OneDrive is concerned. Again, OneDrive's all your personal files. Those will all be migrated over as well. SharePoint's all the corporate-based file structures. So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to come back here. Just make sure there's no other questions here. Looks like Holly already answered it. Getting started on this company. Okay, perfect. So just looks like just some comments. So we're going to go back to the Microsoft Office homepage in the browser. So this would be your Chromebook users. And now we're going to jump into Microsoft Teams. So I'm going to click go to Teams here, and you'll see it's going to open up another window. And then back on my desktop, I'm going to open my Teams client on this as well. Okay, so let me just minimize this and we'll get this back to so they match.
Hey, Robert, excuse me for interrupting.
Yep, no problem.
Stephanie, what were your questions? I'm sorry, Stephanie said she had a couple of questions that weren't answered.
Okay, yep.
Did you put them in the chat? They might have gotten lost in here a little
They're in the
bit.
chat.
I'm sorry, Stephanie. Could you
That's
go ahead
okay.
and
It's going so fast. I see that. So I was like, they'll find it.
Can you just
All
go
right.
ahead and mention them and we can see if we can address them?
Okay, the first one was with the Chromebooks. I noticed that you're going from the desktop to maybe like a laptop, because I work with a Chromebook and I'm trying to follow along. And I was like, well, I'm sure it'll all come back to us when we get to the Chromebook, because, you know, y'all have all these fancy things. And
Yeah, so anything that I'm showing you that's based in this Internet Explorer, you may use Google Chrome, whatever that may be on the Chromebook. It's all going to be tabbed and browser based that you're looking at here. So when I switch back to this, that's in the browser, the internet browser, that's everything that is going to be available to you on your Chromebook.
okay, that's
Okay.
good.
And then everything that's an icon here in the bottom, this is my desktop, my Windows desktop. So if I just minimize this, here's my Windows desktop. So everything that I'm starting here is actually an application on my desktop.
Okay.
Okay.
And for the Chromebook,
that's-
everything will be available
that's-
through the Azure portal, Azure SSO portal. You can get to all
Yep.
the apps that way.
Yeah, we showed them the My Applications. That was one of the first things we did when we started it this morning, which is right here.
Yeah, the second question was,
Did she cut out for everybody or just me?
I thought it was me, so.
Yeah, no, we can't hear her.
We can't hear you, Stephanie.
Cut out for everybody.
There we go. We got you back.
Nope, I think she's. still-
You're on mute, Stephanie.
no, I said if we're using Outlook on other programs, like if college programs and stuff, will it be an issue with this? It won't like interfere with the other, like signing on and getting started?
It shouldn't. If it's a corporate issued device, I'm not sure how that will work based on what the security measures are. If it's BYOD or your own device, it won't be a problem at all.
Yeah, I'm not sure. This is Jim. I'm not sure I understood the question.
I think what she's saying, Jim, is like if she has her own device that she works on, like school or things like that, with Outlook and things, will that be an issue working side by side with this?
You should only be using corporate devices for corporate work,
Okay.
unless it's a mobile device, which we're putting on.
Yep.
We'll be communicating that out this weekend.
I was actually stating it not because I'm using the same devices, it's because Outlook is like a program, and then like if you're signing in with your name on in the program, is it going to interfere with, like, because you're in it already with a different program? I don't know if I'm making sense.
Yeah, basically you can have multiple IDs, if you've got a personal Outlook account, things like that. It shouldn't if you're on your phone or something like that, you're going to see basically two accounts. You're going to see the corporate one and your personal Outlook account as well. It's literally going to merge them together in your inbox, but you can actually set it so that they're separated and you can look at each one separately. if, you know, one of the things we're going to show here in Teams is around some of the more training that you have access to. Some of that is all around mobile devices. You know, so depending on what mobile device you use, whether it's an Android or an iPhone, take a look at that training, because it shows a lot of things about how to use the applications on your phones. Okay, great. So basically we're going to go, we were back at the home directory for all my applications in my Chromebook here, right? And I clicked on Teams and it brought up this tab window here. So you can see, and the purpose of this is to just show you that the Chromebook version of Teams looks exactly the same as my desktop here. I'll just bring this down a little bit. So you can see if I'm looking across the two, I've got the same type of feed that I have in both. And the look and feel of these applications should be very similar. There'll be some subtle changes in Outlook and things like that, but most of the apps look and feel the same across the desktop or the Chromebook. So for Microsoft Teams, as you can see, when I open this up the first time, it's showing me my activity feed. So anything anyone has mentioned about me, it looks like Caleb made me an owner to a training channel yesterday and added me to it. It'll show me things like that. I've also got this nice search bar here. And this is great. Like you can search anything like users that you've chatted with. So if I look at Vivian from yesterday, it'll bring me right to the chat that we had going on yesterday. If I want to search maybe for a document that I know I sent out and I only know the title of it, I think it was Outlook 2019, and I hit enter, it's going to show me all the chats that I had that had 2019 in there. It'll show me if I have any files that are named that. So this was the file I was looking for. So it's showing me that in here as well. I can also do plus signs. So if I want to do Holly and training, it'll show me anything that I've conversed with Holly and training and or. So it'll show me basically everything. If I keep things with an ampersand sign, it'll keep it together. With a plus sign, it'll just say this or that, basically. So it's fully indexable. You can search messages, files, things like that. Teams is pretty good about showing you everything that you that it can find in an index. If I keep going across the top here, I see these three dots. Basically, this gets me into all the settings that I have for Teams. So if I just open this up quickly, I can set, you know, if I prefer a dark screen or dark contrast over the light, I can change that. I can auto start the application here. I can, on closing the application, I can keep it running in the background. So lots of different things that I can do, languages, spell check, out of office here. Under accounts, basically this is my training account here. Not a whole lot I can do with that. Notifications is a good one. I can change how I get notifications. You'll see once we start using this, I'll get little pop-ups in the lower right-hand corner that tell me somebody's, you know, either trying to connect with me or they've mentioned something or mentioned me in a chat. So these are all the different settings that you can do to set your notifications. Devices is a good one. Yesterday, we had some folks that wanted us to show how you can do a video call. Unless you've got audio devices, which I don't in this desktop, or a camera that I could use, I can't do any of those video calls or voice calls. But you should have this capability if you've got a desktop or a laptop, or potentially even a Chromebook, right? That has, you know, a camera on it or whatever that you can use. You'll be able to use all these functions in there. And if you've got multiple like Bluetooth devices, you should see them in here, and you can pick and choose which ones you use and set those up. Okay, so that's the settings. If I keep coming across here, I'll see my little TU icon that represents training user. That's my user. If I click on that, basically it shows me all the details of that. It says I'm in a meeting right now. It says I can set my status message. So I'm just going to say performing training via Zoom. So when people hover over, you know, why I'm not available, it'll just give them a brief message you know, that I'm doing this today, right? And I can say, I can shut this off whenever I want. I can customize the date that it turns it on. Okay. Some other options I have here, you see I'm marked in red here. And if I come over to the chat, and we'll wait for it to come up here, but I can see like Vivian's green, Caleb's green, Robert's green, Holly's red. She's in the same meeting I'm in. This just gives you a quick little present status of what people's availability is. So green means they're available. You know, red typically is busy. If I click on Do Not Disturb here, which I will do, you'll see it changes it, and it also says my status is set to Do Not Disturb. I won't get any notifications right now. So if Vivian or Holly or Melissa or somebody could just send me a chat message. I'm going to minimize this down. I'm going to go back to here. And, you know, if I'm working away or I'm presenting, you know, you'll see that I won't see any notifications. Basically, what will happen is my Teams window, as you can see down the bottom, is flashing at me just to tell me that people are trying to get to me. And it tells me I've got two new chats that I haven't seen before, right? But it's not disturbing me. It's not popping the chats up on the screen or anything like that. And that's really what the Do Not Disturb does. Okay. And I can come back in here and I can, in my own time, I can see these chats and I can respond if I want to. Okay. So that's the purpose of the Do Not Disturb. We'll come back in here and just be right back, or appear away is basically if you're, you know, stepping away or going to lunch. It also has some defaults that if you're not doing anything for like 15 minutes, it'll automatically change your status to appear away. Maybe I want to appear offline. I can set that as well. So I'm just going to put this back to available, and you'll see that I'll become green here in a second. And this little Do Not Disturb message should go away. There we go. Okay. All right. So as we come down over here to the left-hand side, again, this is where Microsoft puts most of the navigation menus. So we started with activity. I'm going to pop down to the chat here, and I'm going to go back to my Chromebook. I'm going to do the same. All right. Again, keeps it in sync. It looks exactly the same as it does on the desktop. So, you know, you can see there's several different ways that I can chat. I can have a direct chat with somebody. If I've never chatted with them before, it's real easy for me to just come up here and do a search. So maybe I want to chat with Sharon. Haven't chatted with her before, so I'm going to bring her up here and just type a quick message and hope that she's not letting her contractor in. And it shows Sharon's green, so that's good. So, you know, one-to-one chat's really simple. If I needed to add somebody to this chat with Sharon, I could do that. So I could pop in here, I could add Kendall to it. And you can see it. I just got my notification that Sharon sent me a message. So now I've added Kendall to the chat. So I've got a two-way chat going. Maybe I want to send a gift to them. So lots of different things you can do here, right? And I'm seeing responses back. Again, this is my Chromebook. If I come back to my and my desktop is telling me that I've got a message here as well. So I'll pop that back up and I can see it's not a message, but somebody basically liked my heart reaction to my good morning. Okay. So it's a full function chat program. One of the nice things that you can do is start like a Teams-based chat where you can add files and all kinds of different things to it. So another way to create that is to right here, you'll see the new chat icon here in the chat. Oh, let's just watch what Kendall sent us here real quick. Now that's a big cup of coffee. That's exactly what I need. So if I do the new chat here, what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a group. a group chat. So I'm going to call this, well, this is Wednesday, right? Wednesday. Okay, so then if I click the down arrow here, I've named it. Oh, that's actually, I did that wrong. Let me pull that out of here and we'll put it in the group name. And then down here, I can add the people that I want to the chat. So we'll add Sharon. And you can see if I just start typing the first few letters of her name, pops it right up. And we'll add Kendall. And we'll also add Stephen. Sorry, Stephen, I'm picking on you today. And we'll add Holly and Melissa as well, and Vivian. We'll add everybody, so we'll have a big group chat. And the purpose of this really is to show co-authoring, which we're going to get to here in a minute. So as you can see, I can create as large a chat as I need to, give it a group name. Okay. So now once I'm in here and I'm chatting with these folks here, if I want to share a file that we co-author, basically I'll come down to the bottom where the paperclip is, and I will just click on that and say, I can upload a file from my computer, which is something that I stored local, or I can upload a file from my OneDrive. So for the purpose of this, we're going to use the OneDrive folder, and we're going to edit one of these documents here. We'll edit the syllabus. All right. So I'm going to share this with this group, and it's telling me that everybody in my organization with the link can edit the file. Okay. So I'm just popping a quick text into that, and then I'm sending them a file that we're all going to take a look at together. All right. So then I'm going to actually open that in my Word desktop. I can open it in Teams. I can open it in a browser. Many different ways to open it, right? So you can see that once I have the document open, up here in the upper right-hand corner, it's telling me all the people that are in here working on it. So Melissa's in here working on page 1. Kendall's on page 1. Holly has the document open, but she's not doing anything in it just yet. And Stephen has the document open as well. I can actually see when people add comments here. I should be able to see right here. The little flag is telling me somebody's working there. So I can actually see the changes that are being made. So Melissa's making changes right here. And again, it's keeping a version history. It's saving these things on the fly as people change it. You know, maybe somebody made a mistake and didn't change something correctly. You know, we can go back in and we can make sure that we roll it back to whatever the version is that we want to keep it at. Okay. So this is co-authoring. This is kind of a handy way to, whether it's a PowerPoint or it's an Excel spreadsheet that maybe you're analyzing, it's a Word doc, whatever it may be, you know, I can create a team, and now I've shared a document with that team, and we're all making changes to it at the same time. And then just for the purpose of demonstration, we'll go back to that training presentation, and you can see that this is syncing or trying to sync. And if I right click on this and I look at the version history, now you can see that I've got all kinds of changes to this document, right? So things are being changed constantly. I can roll back these versions if I need to. Okay. All right, thank you guys. Let's go back to the Teams site here. And we'll go back to our Wednesday morning Teams training. Okay, so you can see I've got some comments here. I can give people thumbs up. Now I've also got this. So this is my chat window here. I can share files here. I can do all kinds of things. Create tables, to-dos. I can add different apps here if I want. If I look at the top here, I've got a files. So any file that has been shared in this team is going to show up here in this list. Somebody asked yesterday, like once these things get used and maybe something was posted months ago, like how do I find that easily without scrolling all the way back? If it's a file, you can simply go to files and all of them are listed here, right in a list. Okay. And I can open it. I can copy the link if I want to send it to somebody else, all kinds of things that I can do with it. Some other things that I can do is if I click the plus sign here, I can add other things in here. So let's just say I want to add a whiteboard. Maybe we have tablets that we can do a whiteboard session on, or we can draw on. So I'm going to add a whiteboard here. All right. So now you'll see it's got another tab up to the top here, and there's my whiteboard. So I can basically just draw things here. And you'll notice that as I'm drawing, it's trying to clean up so if I've got really bad penmanship, it's basically cleaning that up for me. And again, all the folks that are on this Teams channel now can see this whiteboard, and they should be able to, you can see other people are drawing things here as well. So we can really all kind of collaborate on things, whatever that may be, if we've got ideas. Okay. Really easy to use, all kinds of features. If I come back to my Chromebook or my web version of this, I can look at it. And now I've got my whiteboard here at the top. It's telling me it's new because I haven't looked at it. As soon as I click and open it, I should see all the changes everybody's making, right? And there's a lot of different things you can do. You can add OneNote in here. You can share any kind of files, maybe a wiki site you want to use or a website. Lots of different things that you can do in the team chat. And someone's adding a big note right there. Perfect. Okay, so I'm just going to pause really quick before we go into the training piece of this, just to see if there's any other questions. It looks like Google Chat will not migrate to Teams, right? Is there anything I need to answer? It looks like you guys are doing a pretty good job of answering these. Okay, here's a good one here. If a user was editing a document on their Windows application and another user opens the document on SharePoint, will they be able to simultaneously work on edit the document? Yes. So as long as that document is shared across the cloud, whether it's SharePoint or OneDrive, whether the user's in the cloud or on their desktop, they'll be able to see everything that we just showed with the co-authoring. Okay. Will chat groups move over? They will not. I don't believe that was answered yesterday in a question. Google Sheets will convert to Excel. Google Docs will convert to Word. Yep. Slides will convert to PowerPoint. Yep.
Yeah, the chats will have to be copied and pasted.
Paste. Okay. All right. I think that answers, looks like all the questions that you've got on Teams right now, right? Any other questions on Teams chatting, sharing drives, co-authoring, things like that? Again, it's very, very intuitive. There's a lot of things you can do in Teams. As we move down the navigation bar here on the left, there's the next one is Teams. Again, this one is right now reserved. IT is the only one using this right now. There really needs to be governance set around this because it creates a lot of groups and things like that within the email system. So these will roll out eventually, and these are just really dedicated channels and teams that you can go to, and they're going to look very similar to a chat, except you can post files to it. You can have wiki sites and things like that. So there's a lot of different things you can do with the actual team channels. Stay tuned on that. It should be rolled out eventually. For right now, it's just going to be within IT. The next one down is a little Presidio icon. This is where all your e-training and e-learning content is located. So if I click on that and I just click the Microsoft 365 login, okay, and I'm going to bring this up on the desktop as well because it's a little easier to see there. So here's the Presidio icon here on the left. I'm going to click on it. There's my e-training. So basically what this is for is, we're covering quite a bit here. It's basic training. It's just to kind of get you into the systems to use them. You're going to have questions. You're going to have things that you get stuck on. That's really what this training is for. Holly and team has released a learning path for you as well. So there'll be things that they suggest that you go through, but maybe you just want some specific training in Teams. Maybe I want to do a wiki site in Teams and I want to know how to do that. So if I just search wiki, it brings it right up, taking meeting notes with wiki and Teams. I can click on that and it takes me right to that video that tells me how to do that.
Taking notes within a team channel.
Okay.
This is really helpful.
All of these are about no longer than, I think the longest one is a 7 to 10 minute video training. So everything is pretty small in size. It's really meant to be quick little hits that you can do to, pick things up that you're looking to do, getting started with Teams, right? This is, Teams 101. It's about 5 quick lessons that you can click on, and it basically pops the video up so that you can learn it.
Take a look at files and folders.
Okay. Any questions on the training? Everybody understand where you can access that? Multiple locations, basically. It's also, if I go back to my apps, which is where we started, that's this e-training library as well. Okay, so back to Teams, and the next thing down on the list here is called shared drives. Again, this is all the SharePoint shared drives. So when we showed you all the corporate level folders and where they exist, that's all sitting right here. Okay. So everything that you need to get access to here, it's just meant to, if you're working in Teams, you don't have to leave Teams to do things. You can actually stay within the Teams folder. If you want any of your OneDrive files, they're located right here under Files. Okay, here's my OneDrive storage. Looks exactly the same as it does right here. If I open this up. So it's really meant to give you multiple options and ways to get quick access to your documents. Looks the same across all the interfaces, so there's no difference. And then the last piece here is the calendar. This is just a snapshot of your calendar in Outlook, which we're going to see in a little bit. You have the ability here to come in and edit meetings if you need to. If you had a camera and a microphone and a speaker, you could do quick meet now. So if I just want to have a quick meeting or talk with Holly or Sharon, I could just pop this open and have a video session that would start up and we could just have a quick impromptu meeting. Or I could do more of a formal meeting by clicking the new meeting here at the top. I could give it a title. I could add attendees. And as soon as I start typing, it'll try to match it up. Okay. I can set the date, time, all that. I can add a Teams meeting to it. I can even add it to a channel if I have one, so that it goes into that. It adds the channel as well. Okay, so lots of things you can do here with meetings. We're going to dive much deeper into this in Outlook, but just want to show you that you have the ability to do this in Teams as well. Okay, and then as things get added here, you'll see, they'll be added basically in the left-hand corner here, or left-hand navigation bar. So as things get added, they'll be added over here as well. All right, any other questions?
Yeah,
Okay,
Robert,
it
there are
says-
some questions about group chats and Teams in
Okay.
the Zoom chat.
Do we need to wait for the team groups, SharePoint sites to be created for our programs before we create group chats and Teams? I would say no on that. you know, you saw like everything that I have the ability to do. If you have an account and you can get in here, you have the ability to do that now. I think the one thing that, you know, we just want to be clear is to not update files or anything like that until the weekend migration is complete. But if you want to chat with folks, maybe share things even in Google Drive or something like that, you know, you have the complete ability to do that in Teams right now.
Yeah, I totally agree, though. We would prefer if people don't do too much work in it at this particular point. We just don't want to run the risk that they're going to set things up. Oh, I'm not on camera. Sorry, guys. I thought it was. We don't want to run the risk that they set things up and then something happens to them over the weekend. And I'm going to apologize. My camera's going to be off because for some reason I'm having some technical issues. So I think it'll be better if I shut my camera down.
No problem. Is there a plugin to add a Zoom meeting? Yes, there is. That will be pushed out with all the applications. So when we go through the Outlook training, and actually it'll probably show up here as an icon called Zoom in Teams. You'll see an icon in Outlook as well. It'll say create Zoom meeting. You just click that button and it'll automatically put your Zoom links inside your meeting. So is there anything else around Teams? I just want to make sure when you're building a chat group, can you copy and paste email? Yes, you can. So if I'm making a chat group and I may not want to find it, the person, I can copy and paste that from another application to build my chat group. Second question, okay, so. Yep, okay, that one has been answered. I think that's it. I think I answered everything. If you asked a question and it didn't get answered, please either post it one more time in the chat or just come off mute and speak up. I don't want to miss anything, so. Okay, so we are right about on schedule, a little bit behind, but not too bad. So that concludes the SharePoint training, OneDrive integration and training, and Teams. I'll just pause if there's no other questions on that. We're going to spend the next hour really diving into the email and Outlook. It's a pretty big program, so there's a lot to cover, and that's why we spend an hour doing that. This was just to kind of show you the ins and outs of some of the other tools and applications, and basically the things that we've showed you so far basically enhance or support your email as well. So seems like you have to copy each email one at a time. If you try to multiple emails, it will not bring up the results. Okay. Will Gmail groups remain the same? Yes, they will. Yep. All right, so let's I'm just going to minimize Teams here. I'm going to bring up my Outlook client back in the web browser. I'm going to close some of these windows down so that all right, so here we are back at the home, our Chromebook users homepage. Again, if I click this Outlook navigation icon over here, it's going to open up my Outlook inbox. As you can see, my Outlook client. I'm also going to do that on my desktop. So I'm going to click the Outlook client here below. And you will see that, again, this looks very similar. So it's really meant to be functionally the same. The look and feel is meant to be very similar, whether you're a Chromebook user or a desktop user. Again, we're gonna walk through the desktop version here today so that you can see some of the advanced features that you have within the desktop as well. So, all right. So the first thing that we're gonna do is we're gonna walk through this Outlook program window here, just to kind of show you the look and feel of this and how you can customize it a little bit. The very top left is called the Quick Access Toolbar. So this is basically meant to give you access to commands and things like that that you use frequently. And you know that, like, if I want to print something, I can come up here quickly. If I do want to do a reply or reply to all, forward a message, all that's right here at my fingertips. You'll also notice that it's available here too, right? So again, multiple ways to show these different activities that you can do. If I keep going across the top, I have that same search window that I had in Teams, works exactly the same. So if I want to put things in quotes, so I want to find everything to do with end user, and you'll see it searches my mailbox and it gives me a hit on everything that may have end user in it. Now, whether that's the subject line for this first one, or it's actually in the body of the email for the second one. This one here was in a link that I sent. So really, the search is very detailed. It'll search through everything. So it's a really easy way to find things as your email inboxes get filled up, right? Maybe I want to just search on emails that Caleb sent me. I can search him and it'll narrow it down to just the emails that he sent. Okay. So if I was looking for something in particular, I could do that. So the search is really nice, handy. As we move down here, you'll see the next is just a text menu system. And I can pop this up and it changes this, what's called ribbon menu here. If I go back to home, there's a couple options that you can use for the ribbon menu. If I go all the way over to the right here and I hover over this little arrow, on the right, it says switch ribbon. And what it's going to do is it'll switch between what's called the simplified ribbon. So if you're limited on desk space and you want to kind of minimize your menus, you click that and you can see it shrinks it down. And now all the menu items that we saw before are kind of buried or hidden underneath these higher level menus. Okay. So if you're somebody that likes the desktop clean or you want to maximize your space, this is probably the menu for you. If you're somebody like me that's visual and wants to see everything, I like the classic ribbon, which gives me a little bit more of everything that I'm looking to see and do. Okay. If we keep, and we'll come back in a minute and look at how to change some of these views and customize them. Right now, we're just kind of walking through what everything by default looks like when you open it up. So if I look here over on the left, I've got a favorites at the top here, and these are basically just folders that that the system has designated as favorite folders for me, most used. I can add folders to it as well and make them favorites. So if I want to add my marketing folder here, I can say add to favorites, and now my marketing moves up here as well. So below that is my training account, my Caramedics email account that contains all my folders, and any kind of security groups or distribution groups that I belong to would be here as well. So this is all my folder menu here. As I go across from left to right, my next set of space that I'm looking at is called a preview. So this is basically, everything that I have in my inbox, which I'm in right now. It's showing me a quick little preview of what that looks like. Okay. And I can click on any of these and you'll notice my reading pane here changes based on what I'm clicking on. So this next window is basically where you're going to see your complete message. Now, if I want to double click on any of these, it'll actually open them up in a brand new window and it expands it across the whole screen. So if somebody sent me a table or a spreadsheet that I'm looking to look at, maybe I can't see it in the preview, I can just pop this open and see it a lot better. Or if I come down to the bottom here, I can see that I've got a navigation menu across the bottom here. So this is my email, this is my calendar, and you'll see that it flips the view as soon as you click it. These are my personal contacts. This is my to-dos. And then I've got some options here I can change as well. If I go to navigation options, I can expand this and show 5 items at the bottom instead of 4. Maybe I want to add my notes there, so I'll say okay. And you'll notice that it didn't expand it automatically. So if I want to see that, I have to hover over this line here and just click and open this up a little bit bigger. All right, and there's my notes. So if I click my notes, I can see, oh, here's my sticky notes. All right. And we'll just shift this back and we'll come back to email. And then the last piece of the window, the Outlook window, is at the bottom here. This is called the status bar. It's telling me that the inbox folder that I'm in contains 12 items, 5 of which have been unread or I haven't looked at them. And you'll see those are real easy to see by this number here, 5, as well as they're highlighted here in my inbox, telling me that I haven't read them. So if I just click on any one of these and click out of it, Actually, I set that yesterday and didn't set it back. So I've got it set to automatically mark it as red if I've looked at it for more than 30 seconds. So we'll just give it a second here and it'll mark it on red. If I come back to the status bar at the bottom, I can see it says all my folders are up to date. I'm connected to my server. And this here at the bottom is standard for all applications in Microsoft. So whether it's Word, Excel, Outlook, you've got a way to zoom in on this. So if I zoom this, actually I need to open one that's got some text in it. So if I zoom this in, you'll see it increases the size of the font, or I can shift it back as well. And again, this works the same way in Word, Excel, any of them. And you'll notice now that this one was marked unread. So that's the program window. So next we'll walk through some customizations that you can do. So if I come back to the top here where my text menu is, I'm going to click on the view. And there's some things that I can do here to kind of organize and make my inbox a little better. This show as conversations, basically what it does is if I click on it, it says, do you want to show messages arranged by conversations in this folder or all your mailbox folders? I'm just going to say this folder for now. And you can see what that does is it brings all the replies and things like that that I had in my messages up underneath one that I can kind of keep them condensed. All right, so if I expand that, I can see I had 4 messages related to this. But I can keep them nice and condensed in my mailbox and I don't see everything, you know, whereas if I take this off, it expands everything and I don't have a choice, right? So now I've got to do a lot of scrolling and things like that. So as your mailboxes fill up and you get migrated over, this is a real handy feature here to kind of keep things condensed and easy to see. Show focused inbox. What that is the focus inbox is literally going to contain everything that's corporate related. You know, from time to time, you're going to be on a site and you might have put your email in to sign up for something. May not necessarily be junk or spam because it's something that you did, but it's not, the system knows that it's not really a focus-based email, and that will be put into this other category here as well. So that's what the show focused inbox does. It just by default kind of sorts your email and puts things that it doesn't think is as important in the other folder. Now, if you turn that off just by clicking on this, you'll see that this changed here. My preview now says either all or just my unread. All right, so I can easily see at the end of the day, oh, I've got 4 unread messages. Instead of scrolling down through them to find them all, I can just click unread here and it'll show me all my unread messages. So let's just click back on the focused inbox again. As I come across here as well, this is a sort by or categorize by here. I also have the same ability to do that by clicking here. I can filter all email unread. Maybe I've got emails that I've flagged so I can see just which ones that I want to, at the end of the day, maybe come back in and answer. If I, for whatever reason, like this email from Holly, I look at it quick, but then I say, I want to come back to this later. I can either mark it unread up here, or I can right click on it and just say mark as unread. And you'll see that it marks it back as being unread, so I can come back to it later. And then you've got some other arrange by. I can arrange by from, and that'll just sort everything by who sent me email. This can reverse sort it, so A to Z, Z to A, basically. I can do to, I can do categories, flags, maybe even attachment if I'm looking to clean up my mailbox. I can see which ones have the biggest attachments first. Okay. I'm going to go back to date here just to keep it where it was. And then my next option here is message preview. So here I can basically say 1 line, 2 line, 3 lines, and it'll show me all 3 lines within an email message, right? So if I want to read a little bit more in my preview and not have to click things, this is a handy feature to have. It does tend to make things longer to scroll and clutter up the inbox. So maybe I want to just shut that back off or turn it to 1. And then if I come all the way across here, I've got some options for layout, folder pane, which is over here on the left. If I minimize this, So you'll see what it did. It basically collapsed that and made them all smaller. Again, if you're looking for space, that's probably a good feature. If you're more literal and you want to see everything, expanding that to the full view is probably the better way to go. My reading pane, which is right here in the middle, I can change that from being on the right to the bottom. And you'll see that now all my message previews are on the top. And when I click those, it changes my reading pane on the bottom. Okay. Let's switch that back. I can also shut that off, and I don't have any reading pane. So I've seen this happen before, and users will create a help desk ticket like I can't see my messages any longer. You can always double click on them to open them up, or you just have to come back up to the reading pane and turn it back on, and it'll show those again. The last menu bar here that you can actually toggle on and off, it by default it's not on, is called the to-do bar. I'm going to select the calendar here, and you'll see that now I have a whole right-hand set of space within my window. It's showing me the entire calendar, and then it gives me a snapshot of my week. So I can see, you know, the meetings I have today, tomorrow, all the way into next Tuesday. Maybe I want to go a week out. What do I have the week of the 20th? I can see my appointments there as well. So nice feature, really handy to have. If I have team members or people that I collaborate with a lot, I can drop them in here. And as you can see, if I had the phone set up, I could easily start a video conversation or a phone here. I could do a chat if I wanted. All right. And then the other piece here is my task. So I could look at any of my task lists here as well. And these are all, you can move these around. So maybe I want my calendar a little bigger than the task and things like that. So I have the ability to do all that. And again, just coming back here, shuts all these off. Okay. And maybe I just want to show my calendar. All right. So that's the program window itself. The layout of it. The only other thing to show you here is the help menu. If you click help and you click the help icon here, really quick way to, you know, what is focus inbox? I forgot what he said that is. I can easily just start typing it and it'll search and it'll tell me what it is. It'll explain it here, or I can just have it turn it off and on for me. Okay. So if I say do it for me, you see that it changed it now to unread. And I'm going to switch it back. So that's the help menu, home menu. Any questions on the program system, the help system, how to expand a to-do bar? We covered searching and indexing in here. I'm going to pause quickly before we jump into email and how to, you know, manipulate messages, answer messages, things like that. Gmail groups remain the same, so I don't see anything in the chat. Looks like we're good to keep going, or I put everybody to sleep. All right, so next section is really around email, the email system itself. Again, it's pretty simple and intuitive. If I click on a message here that I haven't read, I see it over here. I can reply to it from here. If it's multiple people on the email, I can reply to all. I can forward it to somebody. I can set up a Teams meeting with just Holly on this subject. I've got some other things I can do, just a general meeting, things like that. I can also do the replies up here, as you can see, the meetings. If it's a calendar invite that somebody sent me, you know, I have the ability to come in here and actually see one of these. I can accept it here. I can go tentative on that calendar invite. I can decline it. We're going to get into some of those things in a minute. So those are all the options that you have as far as reading emails, processing them, processing those emails. Maybe I want to move them to a different folder. So Holly's decline of this meeting, I can either drop it into the trash here, or I can click the delete button here and it'll automatically move it into the trash. Maybe, you know, I want to move this message here into my human resource folder. If I just click and hold it, I can drag it over here into health docs and I can drop it, and you'll see that that number went from 1 to 2. And now that message is over here in my unread messages in health docs. So basically just real easy to move things around. I can also right click on it on a message. I can do a move here and pick a folder. I can do a move up here and pick a folder. Okay, so lots of different ways to do the same thing. It's really meant so that, you know, each one of us work a little bit differently and have preferences. It's just really meant to make sure everybody's preference is met. So next step would be creating a new email. So if I come back to my home menu here, I see across the top, I've got new email. I've got new items. If I click that down, I can do email, chat, appointment, meeting, things like that. So let's, for the purpose of this, we'll click new email. And I didn't get rid of the signatures. So 1 second, we're gonna remove those. Thought I did that yesterday. Because I want to walk through signatures and show you how to do that. So, all right. So let's close this down and we'll start a new email again. All right, that's what a new email should look like your first time in. Looks like there's a couple questions in here. If you have labels in Google, i.e. folders, will they import? Yes. So anything that, we'll just go back here, anything that you've created in Gmail for a folder or nested folder will all be created in Microsoft when you get over here. One thing to show you, like, let's just say under marketing, I want to add a folder. It's as simple as right clicking on that marketing folder and then saying create new folder. And then we'll just say something like add campaign. Okay, or I could do another one and just call it social media. Okay, so real easy to keep folders, and once they're here, I can drag them and drop them underneath other ones if I want. Really make it easy. Folders are simple in Outlook, easy to create them, easy to move them around. Anything that you have already will be moved over, so you won't have to worry about any of that. All your content will move over, so if there's emails underneath folders, those will all move over. All the structure will move as well. Does trash automatically clean out after a certain amount of days? By default in the system, the trash is emptied, I think, every 30 days. So if you've got things in your trash every 30 days, by default, I believe it will clean itself out. There are tweaks that Carametics can do so that it doesn't do that, and it's a manual thing to clean it out. You know, so I've got 2 deleted items in here. Let's say the way I would clean this out is to just right click on that and say empty trash or empty folder. So good question. We haven't had that one yet. So, and current mail rules in Google will be copied over as well. Is that a statement or a question? Because I don't believe rules will be copied over. I think you have to recreate the rules yourself once you get to Outlook. And we're going to go through rules here in a minute too, so you'll be able to see how to do that. Shared calendars should be copied over. So shared mailboxes, shared calendars, all should be copied over when we do the migration. Okay. I think that answered each of those. Use group emails to create team room chats. So group emails are created automatically when a Teams channel is created, or you could just set up a group email in Outlook as well, or you can ask the Exchange administrator to create a distribution list or a group as well. All right, so let's go back to, can you create email templates? Yes, you can. That is going to be in the FAQ. It's pretty in-depth, so just want to make sure that you know, we go over that in the FAQs with you on how to create mail templates. And actually, before I start the new email, let's just walk through a couple things that are important under the file menu here at the top. So I'm in home now. If I look at the file menu, let's say I'm going on vacation and, you know, I'm not going to be in the office. I want to set automatic replies so people know that. If I go into file menu, I click automatic replies. It pops up this little window here that basically shows you, right now I'm not sending automatic replies, but if I just click this little tick mark here, I can see that now I'm sending automatic replies. In general, it's going to just send these 2 notifications. inside my company, outside the company, or I can customize each one of those. I can auto reply to people automatically. You can see the different settings that you have with that. I can only send it during a time range. So if I'm leaving today and I'm not going to return until Monday, I'll save it till Friday at 5. Okay. And then as soon as I say okay, it's going to turn that automatic reply on. As you can see, it highlights it here. All right. So now it's yellow, telling me that I'm sending automatic replies. If I come back to my inbox, I also see a yellow ribbon here at the top telling me that I'm sending automatic replies. And if I'm a Chromebook user and I'm working in Outlook, it's going to take a second, but it should pop up here in a minute saying that I'm doing out of office replies as well. Let me we'll just refresh it. There you go, right there. So the look's a little different than the desktop client, but you can see it's prompting me here that I'm sending automatic replies. I can turn it off just by clicking this button here. Or if I'm on my desktop client, I can turn it off in the client itself, or I can go back to the file menu and I can turn it off here as well. So lots of different areas where you can turn it off. That question about email templates, basically those are set up in the options. So if I click file and options, this is where everything is basically set up for my client. Okay, and there's just a ton of things that we could go through in here. We don't have time to go through them all, but we'll at least show you where they all are. Okay. All right, so show to out of office. Now we're going to create a new email. And again, there's several ways when I create an email that I can address it to people. I can just start typing their name. And if I've conversed with them before, it'll pop right up. So Holly, I know I've conversed with. Sharon, I haven't in email. So it's not going to find her in my lookup. All right. As you can see, I can type her name, but if I go to click the to menu here, or I click the address book right here, either way, I can actually open up the corporate address book and I can go and find Sharon. Hopefully, did I spell something wrong? Strange. Sharon, you're not in the address book. Let me look for Kendall. Kendall is there. I'm going to CC Kendall and maybe, so let me say okay to that. You'll notice that I don't have a BCC here, but yet when I click on this too, I actually do have a BCC. That's by design. It hides it just to save space. But if I wanted to CC this to Jim, I could click his name and click the BCC. And now you'll see it shows up in my email. Okay. So Vivian and Melissa, I've conversed with before. I can send them this. We'll add Stephen as well to here. And I'll just pull Jim out of the BCC because we actually will end up sending this. All right, so I've got an email. I'm sending it to these people. You'll notice that everybody has a semicolon. So that's how you designate new people or separate the people that you're typing to. I'll give it a quick subject. All right, give it a quick subject. In the body of this email, it's just like you were using Word or a Word editor, or text editor. You've got the ability to do different font sizes, colors, bold, italicize. I can do bullets. And you can see, you know, it's automatically capitalizing things. It'll automatically tell me if I spell something wrong. And if I right click on it, it'll give me the actual right spelling. It'll also give me a definition of it if I want. Okay. Maybe I want to do a numbered list. I can insert things like tables. You know, maybe I want to do a table inside of the email. And then I can format the table. As you can see, I can pick all kinds of different formats for it. So very full featured. There's a lot you can do in here. I can center my text, make it size 20 in blue and bold. All right, just to give you an idea of the different things that you can do within your email. If I want to attach a file, I can attach a file up here. Now, when I click that, you'll notice that it gives me all the recent items that I've worked with over the last 10. This is handy if you're working on something, trying to get it out the door. You know, you pop into email, it's going to be the very first document that you see to make it easy for you to do. I can browse my PC, I can browse my cloud storage. So if I say browse web locations, there's my OneDrive, there's my SharePoint. It'll have all the recent files or folders that I've worked with. So real easy to get to documents no matter where they are. Again, a lot of times this recent items will have exactly what you're looking for. So, you know, this guide here that we all worked on earlier is the one that I want to send out now that everyone's looked at it. If I click on it, it'll give me the option of sending it as a copy, which I'll select. And that'll send a copy of the file, but it's not going to send, you know, a link and keep everything intact the way that we had it before. So it's literally going to create a brand new copy and send that around. Again, it's going to clog the system because now I'm sending files. Sometimes these can get quite large. So going forward, not a recommended practice. You know, use the cloud storage, use the links versus sending files directly. So I'm going to remove the attachment. I'm going to come back here. I'm going to pick it again. And this time I'm going to say share it as a link. Okay. Everything looks the same, but you can see that now it's sending this link to the file location here on SharePoint. All right. And it's saying anybody that gets this link can edit it. And it's going to save that space and just send them a link to the file. Another option that I have is, let me just move this back to a smaller font here. If I want to actually send a link, so maybe I want to send this discussion guide here. Okay, in the body of the email, it'll actually send a link. It's virtually the same as sending the attachment. It's just a link to it. And it's telling me anyone in the organization with this link can edit this. Okay, so several different ways that I can send attachments within an email. As we keep moving across here, I see signature. So we're going to walk through how to set that signature up. As before, I had a bunch of them. Now I don't have any. So if I click signatures, and what I'm going to do is create two signatures. I'm going to call one full and one simple. In the full one, I'm going to actually include my business card. Okay. And I'm going to save that. And you can see that it's assigned it automatically for any new messages that go out. And then I'm going to create one more, and I'm just going to call this simple, or I could call it reply actually. All right, so now I have a reply, and this one I just want to say, maybe I'll include my cell phone number. And then I'm going to save this one here. All right, and then I'm going to assign this to any kind of replies and forwards that I do. So that's the simplest way to do a signature. Okay. When I say okay, you'll notice it has not put it in the email because it's only going to do it as I move forward. But now if I click my signature line, I've got both of them right here. So I'm just going to include my full. So now it's included my full signature with my business card. It's also attached this VCF file, which is a virtual business card file. I'll show you in a little bit how to create those and make it easy. And again, anybody outside the organization inside can double click that and it'll open up my contact so they can save it within their address book. So I'm just going to remove that one for now. All right, so we got the signatures. As we keep moving across, I've got some quick things I can do. I can give it high importance, low importance. If I click this little down arrow here, it shows me all the message options that I have. All right, so now I can go in here and I can do high importance, low. Maybe this is confidential. I can set it as sensitivity confidential. I can apply voting buttons here, and these can be customizable to whatever you want. Just, separate your choices with a semicolon. These things here are kind of key. I can request a delivery receipt and I can request a read receipt. Again, I want to make sure people are reading this. It's very important. Once they do that, I'll get an email back that says it's been delivered or it's been read by them. I can also have my replies sent to somebody else. Maybe I'm going on vacation. I want to make sure this one gets answered. I can do that. I can say, do not deliver before tonight at 5 o'clock, and it'll sit in my outbox until the end of the day. I can save a copy of this somewhere if I want to. So we'll just leave the delivery and the read receipt. We'll set it sensitivity to confidential, and we'll set the importance to high. Okay. Now I'm going to send this email out, and all the folks on the email is going to get a copy of it. And once it starts being delivered, and once people start seeing it or reading it, I should get some messages back here that the mail's been delivered. So while we're waiting for that, I'm going to pause and just check the chat here to see if there's any. Okay, so we've got a few here. Do we have to use Edge or can we still use Chrome? Yes, if the corporate standard is Chrome or it's rolled out, you can absolutely use, that browser. There's no designation to use Edge. It's just easy for me because it's a Windows machine. If the person's name is not listed by first, then last name, can we search by last name, then first name? Good question. So if I bring up a new email while we're waiting for these, and I click my 2, which is going to bring up my address book, you have the ability to search name only here, or you can search all columns. So if I want to change it to all columns, it'll look for everything within the search. All right. So if I say Thomas, it's showing me anybody that has either Thomas as their last name or Thomas as their first name.
And ironically, that's where Sharon is.
Right.
Yeah, I see that. You're the only person in the address book that's sorted by last name, comma, first.
Interesting.
Yeah, which is why we couldn't find you. You'll notice when I did the new message, it automatically puts my signature in here now. So that's doing that by default because I said that. I'm just gonna shut this down. You can see now I'm starting to get my delivery messages. So all 5 people it was delivered. And if I click on any of these, and now I've got to read one, Holly actually read it. So I can see it was delivered to Vivian, Holly, Stephen, Kendall, and Melissa. Here's my read receipt for Holly. Maybe I want to keep these in a certain area within my email box. So what I'm going to do is show you how to create rules now, because that came up earlier. So if I go to rule and I say create a rule, it's automatically going to give me some things that I can do. I really wanted this to say read receipt, but let's just see if it says read receipt. I before E except after C. There we go. So I could say anytime I get an email from Holly or when the subject contains read receipt, what do I want to do? I can pop up a new alert. Really what I want to do is move it to this read receipt folder. If there's another one, I can click select folder and see all my folders in my inbox. Okay. So we'll just make it go to the read receipts for now. And when I select OK, it's going to ask me this. And it looks like I've already got it in here. Do you want to run this now on the rule? So I'll check that off and it'll run it across every message that's in the folder. And now if I look at my read receipts folder, anything that has read receipt in the subject or title is going to show up in this folder. Actually, these ones were moved over manually. So that's the rules. I can manage all the rules that I have here. You can see I've already kind of created a couple read receipts, so we'll delete that one. I've also got one for Viva, and that moved it to the human resources folder. So if I come back here and I look at human resources, there's my Viva messages. Okay. All right. So I can see that Holly replied back to this. Maybe I want to reply to Holly and I'll add Sharon back in now that I know how to find her. Okay. All right, so just let me come back over here. So it's not, we went through the search, delayed chat functionality question. If we have an external client that utilizes Teams, or they have the ability to chat with us. So that is called federation. And by default, Teams is set to be open federated. I'm not sure how the organization is going to set that up. The organization does have the ability to do that. You can federate with anyone, or you can specify people that you federate with. If, for instance, if you federate with Presidio or we federate with you, we can use Teams together the same way that you do. So we can have chats, we can belong to the same channels, we can share documents, all those things we can do externally with clients.
We can add that into the list, Robert, because I don't think I have any of our end user services team on right now, but we will add that on to the training questions and
Yep.
Get an answer for everybody.
Okay, and into the FAQs, yeah, that's
Yeah.
great.
Mhm.
Okay. I love being able to flag emails for reminders and check off emails I've completed. Yes, that's a great feature. So, you know, if I want to flag this as a follow-up, so this is something Holly and I are working on. I really need to make sure by, let's say, tomorrow I get back to her on this, I can flag this for tomorrow. And the one thing that does is it adds it to your to-dos as well. So now you've integrated your email into your to-dos. So if I, you know, this is coming up here in a little bit for training, but if I come over here, I can see that tomorrow I've got to make sure I cover all these things. And here's the one that I just flagged around Holly. So yeah, that's a good point. Flags are a great way to, you know, make sure you keep organized with your email and you respond to people and things like that. Okay, so we are at about 15 minutes left. Really want to make sure we cover calendaring functionality at least. Some great questions today, so it's been good. If I just quickly show you across the navigation here, we're going to go to contacts. You can see that I've got some contacts that I've added here. Really the basis of adding personal contacts. Obviously, if there's people that are not in the corporate address book, this is where you would keep them. But if you've got coworkers that, you know, maybe you want to sync their phone number with your phone and things like that, put them in your personal contacts and they'll show up on your phone as well. You can also do groups in here. So I can have, like you can see here, I've created some groups, human resources, and I've added a few people to that. So if I want my own personal distribution list, anybody that's in my contacts, I can add here as a group as well. And finally, if I just open up Holly's contact, you know, I can add different things in here that may not be filled out. You know, if I've got a business phone, a mobile phone, fax, I can add an address in here. If I've got her picture, I can add that in here as well. Okay. And then I can save that. And now I've got all the pictures and things like that in here. So contacts are pretty straightforward, not too difficult. Again, the to-dos or the task list, if I click that on the bottom, I can create my own task in here. My typing skills are not great today. All right, I can pick a start date. You know, I want to start it tomorrow, but it has to be finished by Friday. I can say that I've already started it, it's in progress, give it a priority. Maybe I've completed half of it already. And then maybe I just want a reminder on Friday, hey, at 8 a.m., this is due today, right? I can assign this task to somebody else. And again, so it'll disappear out of my list, but it'll appear in their to-do or task list. Cancel assignment. Once I actually do this, I can come back in here and mark it complete. For now, I'll just save it. So you can see that this week I've got this here. If I just open this up again, I can mark it complete. And now it doesn't show up in my to-do list, but if I look at my complete task, it shows up here with a line through it designated that I've completed that task. On the Chromebook side, if I open up my browser and I come to my Outlook client, this right here, check mark, is my to-dos. You'll see that this syncs up with everything that I just did. So if I go to my planned task, here they all are right here. Anything that I flagged, here's my flagged email, that shows up here as well. The beauty of this one is I can actually create lists and put the task underneath those. So if I want to create a list called training tasks, I can, and I can move things underneath that if I want. Okay, so that'll be moved underneath here. And if I come back to my desktop client and I see now I've got a couple of folders and there it is, it's moved there. So everything stays in sync, no matter if you do this in the Chromebook, on the desktop, it synchronizes instantaneously once you complete those. All right, so I'm going to pause right now just before we come into the calendar, which is going to take the last 10 minutes here, maybe even a little more. How will this apply to the tools that we need in CMS, notes, resources? Gmail is not going to be used at all. Correct, Gmail is not going to be used at all. You'll have access to your history. I'm not sure on the CMS things. We may want to post that in the FAQs. So with about 10 or so minutes left, we're just going to cover calendars. So if I click my calendar view in the navigation here, and I will do the same thing up here. I'll go back to my task. Where's my Outlook? And I'm going to click my calendar here so you can see that they look virtually the same. Okay, there's my calendar in my Chromebook, and here's the calendar on my desktop. You can see I've got some color-coded things here. I've set some categories up. If you take a look at right-click on any one of my meetings, I'll just show you what the categories look like. You know, if I want to really kind of take a quick glance at my calendar, and my private meetings are in yellow, my training meetings are in green, my executive meetings are in blue, I can designate orange to be something else. Let me just rename that to internal meetings. Okay, and I'll set my purple category for client meetings. And my red category will be travel time. So I can look really quickly and see things that, you know, are going to be color coded different. Maybe this one here, I just want to take off the training. Okay, and we'll just make this travel time. Okay, just a quick way to look at your calendar and designate different kind of categories and groups. As I look at the calendar here, I can see my months over here on the left. I can click on any day here and go out into the future and see that. If I want to return to today, I can easily just click this today button or this today button, and it brings me right back to that week or day. If I want to look at the next 7 days, I can click that and it'll go all the way 7 days out from today to next week. I can look at just my work week, the entire 7-day week. So if I'm putting my weekend plans on here, I'll see those, or I can look for the whole month. Okay, or I can look at a swim lane view basically of my calendar as well. So let's just go back to the work week here. I can add other users' calendars. So if I've got people in my address book that I want to add their calendar to. There's Sharon. I just want to take a look at Sharon's calendar. It'll take a minute, but it should come up here. So there's Sharon's calendar in my view. You can see that it's added it to my shared calendars here. I've added some in the past. I've got Holly's. I've got Melissa's. So if I've got team members that I want to, you know, really kind of coordinate calendars, things like that, it's really easy to do. I can share my own calendar by clicking the share calendar. By default, everybody they can view when I'm busy. Certain people I can say can view all details. I'll add Melissa here. Actually, I should do name only because it's a lot quicker. Whoop. Good type. So I'm going to give her all detail. I'll just let her see my titles and locations. Okay, so that's how you share your calendars. That's how you add other people's calendars to yours. I think that covers those pieces here. Let's just now we'll finish up with what the different appointments look like. So an appointment is, you know, again, kids soccer game. This isn't something I'm going to invite somebody to, but next week or a couple weeks from now, I know on the 30th at 4, I'm going to be attending my kids soccer game. And that's a 2-hour meeting. I can set it for all day, different time zones. I can make it recurring. I can put a location in here if I know what the address is. Okay. And the beauty of this is now if I look at this meeting on my phone, I can actually click on that address and they'll pull it up in Maps or Waze or something so that I can have a map to the game. I can categorize this at the top. This is a private meeting. I can also mark it private. When I do that, it doesn't matter what the settings are for people looking at my calendar. They're only going to be able to see that it's a busy. It's not, there's no details around it and that it's a private meeting. Okay. I'm going to save that. Now I'm going to go out to wherever I created it. 24th, was it? 23rd, 30th. There it is. So there's my soccer game on the 30th. I'll come back to today. New meeting. And again, somebody asked earlier if Zoom's going to be there. You'll see this new Teams meeting. You'll have the same thing with Zoom, new Zoom meeting. If I just click a meeting by default, I can give it a title. Okay, maybe we want to have a recap after this. Okay, I can make somebody optional to that. All right, and then I can pick, you can see as I'm doing that over here on the right, just expand this a little more. So at the top, it's telling me, you know, these days in white here are good. We can find schedules with no conflicts. These ones in light blue are fair. There's actually conflicts, like right down here, Holly and Melissa can't meet from 11:30 to 12, or one conflict here, Holly can't meet. And then the ones that are dark blue are poor. It means nobody can meet those times. So I can either select the suggested time or I can pick the day. So I'll just pick Thursday and we'll do, all right, there's a conflict there. Let's go Friday and we'll do 3:30 to 4. Okay, so that's one way I can easily look at schedules, make sure there's no conflicts. The other way that I can do that is to click this schedule assistant here at the top. And what that does is, let me just shrink the room finder again. What that does is it gives me a snapshot of everybody's calendar, all right? And I can see these dark purple here or blue, these are blocked out already. So I can literally look here and I can pick, oh, maybe I want to have this earlier in the day. So let's do it from 10 to 10:30. All right, and I can see instantly all the teammates' calendars so that I can schedule this. So I'm just going to go back. I'm going to take Jim out of here. And then I'm going to send this out to everybody else. And if a few of you could just, you know, accept the meeting. Some folks tentatively accept it, somebody decline it. We'll just go back into the meeting and we'll show them how to do the tracking piece of it. So if I come back to my email, I'll wait for some of these responses to come in. And I'm just going to pause while we're waiting and we'll go back and read the chat here. All right, so Victoria, once the conversion is complete, all of our team resource, jobs, aids, facts, call scripts, notes, templates will be available at portal.com in a SharePoint folder. Yes. Instead of Gmail, you'll use Outlook for your email. Yes. Instead of GChat, you'll use Team for your group chats. Yes. Yep. Correct. We won't lose any of the tools that we need. Nope. Will Gmail contacts migrate to Outlook? I believe they do. You'll have to check with the migration team, but typically by default, all contacts will migrate over. Did you request that we should not utilize any of this until Monday? Yes, the team on the phone here, Holly and the team is saying, if you want to peek around with this stuff, that's great, but please don't use anything until Monday when it all rolls out.
Yeah, definitely. You are more than welcome to go in and take a look at it if you'd like to see, but please don't do too much to it because we just don't want to run the risk that you're going to create things and do all kinds of great things and then have it be overwritten on Friday.
Yep.
And yes, the contacts will migrate over from my understanding as well.
Recurring meetings should migrate over. There's always some nuances with those, so there should be an FAQ based on that. You know, what things work and what don't. There's some custom meeting things that don't always translate well, but in general, most meetings that are recurring will migrate over.
Hey, Robert, one of the things I wanted to mention as well is that Google is not going away right away. So let's say, for example, Monday morning, you come in and you have a meeting on your Google Calendar on Monday, but it did not get over to your Outlook calendar. You'll still be able to go back into your Google Calendar and get all the information from that. We are going to keep all the Google information up. We don't have a time frame on it yet, but let's just say for an amount of time that we feel comfortable to make sure that everything migrated over properly. So please don't panic. If something is missing in your Microsoft, we can always go back into your Google and move it for you if there's a problem.
Perfect. Okay. Will our emails run on Exchange server? Yes, they will all be running on Exchange Online, which is Microsoft 365. So everything will be online. The service itself is set up with multiple copies of it. So there's always gonna be 3 copies out in the cloud of your email. So good question. And just to kind of wrap it up here. So as you can see, some have accepted, some have tentatively accepted the meeting invite. If I were to delete these, you may wonder, like, how do I know who's accepted it? If I go back to my meeting or if I step into my meeting just before it happens, I can come here to this tracking button and I can see who said they were going to attend or not. So Steven said tentative, Holly said accepted. Some of the other users haven't responded yet at all. If somebody declined, it would show declined here as well. So I know we kind of rushed through the calendar piece. Any questions around calendaring, meetings, things like that? Zoom will be in here. You know, because we had such great questions today, we really are right up against our time, but I think it's been great. So
we still will use Zoom. If you currently use Zoom for meetings, you can use Zoom, you can use Teams. You will no longer be able to use Google Meets. That is the one thing that is definitely going away. And remember, we have so much great information available for you. So if for some reason Robert mentioned something and you want to get more information, please go to your CareMedics bookmarks, click on Azure, and you'll see the e-learning portal. Click on there and you'll be able to get all types of information on anything Microsoft oriented. Thank you all for coming today. We appreciate you taking the time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Robert.
We appreciate it.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You're welcome.